Those opposed say no. That's carried. And now we come to the a different format for community board monthly reports. So instead of receiving each of the individual reports from community boards, we receive in block the monthly report from all of the community boards. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder for it? Mike Davidson. And now I'll leave that open as I invite each of the chairs to come forward and speak to their report and make a presentation should they so wish. So, Waipapa Papanui Innis Community Board Area Report. We've got Emma Norrish and Simon Britton. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, thank you for having us along today. We're going to take the report as read and we're just going to highlight a few things that have been happening in our area. Let's get the PowerPoint up there. Cool. That first picture there is of the CNC shared pathway that runs alongside the new motorway. It's a really great thing that's actually come from that motorway, and it's getting a lot of use, especially by recreational riders, using it to get all the way out to Kaiapoi and coming back again. One thing we had a resident alert us to was the fact that there are no toilets along the whole path, which is it's decent length, about it's a decent ride if you're going for a recreational ride, and so we've asked staff to put signs in pointing to existing toilets just off the route. So it's good to see that those have gone up, and people can now relieve themselves as they use the path. Go along the next one. We've got council last week or week before, I think it was, highlighted some volunteers that are doing some great work in our city, and these couple of ladies here from Papanui were one of those people highlighted, and we're just going to show a wee video showing what they do every week in Papanui with the walking group there.
Give this our best shot. It might be on that.
You get to meet new people, you get to know the area. We've made quite a lot of friendships over the years. We get to go, but there's sort of a core there that's been coming for quite a while, so we get to know each other quite well. It's pretty straightforward as volunteers. We just turn up, don't we?
We've got a good leader.
Yes. She organises the walk, where we're going. We just do a tail end and one of us is in the middle.
And if someone's not feeling 100% and they get a bit slower, and if they want to go back, one of us will escort them back so that we know they get back safely. I enjoy the comradeship, to be honest, and the social side, and we don't always get a chance while we're walking to talk to many people, but when we have a hot drink afterwards, it's like a school trip. It's all chatter.
Wednesday morning from outside the Papanui Library and do a loop around the area, and they get huge numbers. I think it's usually about maybe 30 people along, and it's really great to see.
On the 18th of June we had our latest meeting with school principals in our ward, and we overlapped it intentionally with a meeting with our local MPs. So we had Sarah Pallett, Duncan Webb, Matt Ducey, Poto Williams was an apology, but yeah, we on a regular basis we seek to meet with our school principals and also with our local MPs to discuss interests where we have overlapping interests. This time we intentionally brought those two together because we often find we're talking to our school principals about system issues that are beyond our domain and the domain of the council. So we used it as an opportunity to allow them to speak directly to a group of elected members at a government level, and had facilitated some good discussions there across those two groups.
Planting season is well underway, and we every year at the beginning of June for the last, I think it's 4 years, we've had an annual planting day at Papanui Bush, but unfortunately this year we had to cancel it due to the weather, but there still has been other plantings going on in our area. There's a lot going on in the Cranford Basin, where there are going to be this year 40,000 kakatea planted in the basin. That's being done by, it's funded by MPI, organised by Conservation Volunteers New Zealand. The trees are grown by Trees for Canterbury and it's supported by council. And so far, 14,000 of those planned 40,000 have been planted. It's been a mixture of community planting days, corporate groups and other groups. This day I went along to last month was a group of kids from Papanui Primary School. There were about 20 students there, and they did a fantastic job. I think we got about 500 trees in the ground that morning. So it's really fantastic the way the community's getting behind it and lots of organisations involved.
We've had some feedback in the area where there's been a lot of traffic works undertaken downstream of the Northern Corridor, particularly around St Albans and Innes Ward, of stray road cones. We've brought that back to and discussed that with council staff a number of times, and just wanted to note here the advice that we've had back, that we're taking back to our community as well through our own channels and through giving feedback to people that are getting in touch, of the preferred response to that from council, which is through Snaps and Solve, so that council can direct the relevant contractors to tidy up cones and address those issues. I do note that 2016, 2017, I think was the last time I'm aware of there was a real push on that from council in terms of the council's communication channels. That was around the wind-up of skirt works, and I think CTOC was involved in that as well with a citywide sort of road code roundup. It seems to particularly have been highlighted as an issue focused on the St Albans area, and we're just taking that back to our community now and encouraging them to use those channels that the council provides.
That's us. Any questions?
Pauline.
Like to highlight one part in the report, please, and it's on page 110, 3.4.2, and it's about two buildings that council owns in Westminster Street. These buildings were purchased some years ago now, and they are due for demolition, the purpose being to open up the park because there's no really good entranceway into the park. They're very run down, they're boarded up, they are actually a real eyesore, and they're currently not planned for demolition until 2025-26. And I brought this up at the board. Have you got any update on, have you had a response to
We haven't had a
request to bring that
response.
forward?
We've sent a letter to the office of the CE but haven't had a response yet.
Yeah, the concern there isn't vandalism or damage, you know, with rubbish risks, all those kind of things that can happen
And
with
fire.
buildings.
There's a big
Yes.
concern down there, yes, because there are houses around it as well. So I think we need to be a responsible owner here and deal with these. So we look forward to having a response.
What may be possible for the Office of the Sea to respond before the next meeting of the Community Board, which would be helpful for you could discuss it there.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? No. It's done. It's done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next is Waihoro Braden Cashmere Community Board, Carolyn Potter, and I don't know if Lee's with you today. No. Carolyn.
Lee is absent. He and his partner had a baby 4 or 5 weeks ago that's been in and out of hospital with breathing difficulty. So it all will be well, we are sure, but I'm sure Lee wouldn't mind your unsaid good wishes.
Yeah.
These are the decisions under delegation. I just want to mention basketball. Our board has had a heck of a lot of requests ranging from an over 80-year-old to a team of kids, sorry, I didn't mean to say that, team of young people from Cashmere High about increasing the number of basketball facilities in our area. This is the most popular sport now. I'm pretty sure it's the most popular growing sport in New Zealand, and perhaps next to netball in terms of numbers. And the young people definitely want access to basketball courts in an increasing way. So we're really interested in the land next door to the Beckenham Service Centre. This has been the constant preoccupation of our board over 20 or 30 years, the land next door to the service centre, and we are hoping that we might finally be able to find a use for it that will support the ambitions of young people in terms of basketball, access to basketball courts in our area. This is the Innovating Streets project that Waka Kotahi initiated. They provide a small amount of money, which was increased in terms of Beckenham, but not in terms of Selwyn Street, and to provide areas that have put forward some ideas with real changes in their area that are temporarily tried, and the council does the initial liaison and supervision of the idea. I think Innovating Streets has done well. It's not without its problems and difficulties in terms of relationships. The council takes on quite a lot of work to facilitate this, knowing that the actual initiative has come from Waka Kotahi and the community. So it's not easy. But we think that we have landed in a good area with lower speeds and initiatives across the board that will encourage people's use of the area and how they feel about the area. But I want to thank the council's positive attitude towards this, because it's not easy having the two agencies, one authorising the money but not really doing hands-on work to initiate it, to get it going. So I thank the staff for their efforts on this. It took a lot of time and effort to land it without too much drama. And we look forward to the consequences for the young people who are very aware of both projects, and we look forward to hearing what happens to it. Community plan priorities. These are our bread and butter important projects that don't have much glamour attached to them but are vital in the area. The Hoonhay Road, Worsleys Road intersection is a dangerous one, and we're very glad to see it finally underway. The shops have had a problem in terms of access, but the staff have very kindly thought are putting up some signs to indicate access to the shops, which will help those shops keep going during the project. And the guardrails on Dyers Pass Road, everybody knows that Dyers Pass Road is often a disaster waiting to happen, and there is increased work going on there to facilitate safety and access for people. We had a breakfast meeting with school principals, and thank you, Papanui, for your ideas putting... sorry, but thank you for the idea of putting the school principals with the MPs, because that's a great idea. We immediately started to think about that, doing that as well, you know, because the breakfast meeting with school principals probably tells us more about the area than any other single meeting does, about what's happening in the community at the real ground level. And some of it makes your hair stand on end. And it was so wonderful to have. It's wonderful to have them and to be able to talk with them. And we're going to show a small video.
Let's give it a go.
Thank you, Christchurch City Council, for all the work you've done on the Opawaho River.
And our ponds at Beckenham.
Even after all the rain, the river didn't flood.
This kept our community safe and kept our school open.
Thank you, CCC. Thank you, CCC. Thank you, CCC.
Now, doesn't that look like a jack-up? And it wasn't. I know. This was not a jack-up. The principal came to this principal's meeting. She asked if she could put it up online. I asked if I could bring it to council. And this was after the board had asked me to write the letter that I did to council, which was unanimously, and to congratulate the council for all the work they did on the floodplains, because that area was the one that lost 35 houses. The council had to buy 35 sites, 35 houses. You can see the blank spaces when you go around the loop. You can see where the houses used to be. Those are the people that were flooded repeatedly over their floorboards. And the flood mitigation work worked. If you walked around Beckenham, if you walked where I walk up on the tracks, if you went round the river and had a look around there where I'm dog walking, that it worked. I've never seen Beckenham, etc., where I used to live, and all the suburbs around, including the small suburbs of Sparks Road, because Sparks Road was lifted by the earthquake and the ground around it is lower. And I've never seen them come out of a deluge like that so well. It was just great. And I should have mentioned it at the pre-meeting as well. And we didn't even know that was coming. It wasn't a jack-up at all. They just did it all on their own. And we were really glad to see it.
I think
and
we'll
the
pass
rest
that on to the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And those, and I'm not just talking about the engineers who have done a wonderful job. Over all the years, they've done a wonderful job. I'm not just talking about that. I'm also talking about all the ordinary City Council staff who would have been put on the ready as well for civil defence work, as they always do. And so I just thought it was a really great thing that we went through, yeah. And normally it would be a drama, and it just wasn't. Here's my dog bin. There's the dog bin that the contractors don't know exists anymore because they thought it had gone, clearly, because it was still accumulating dog poo bags. The following few days, it still was accumulating them. That happens to be my vastly obedient dog that left me stranded at Victoria Park for 3 hours, and half of which was in the dark because he wouldn't come. I ended up backing into a ditch with my car, being pulled out by AA all the time, being patronised because I was an old lady whose dog wouldn't come. Anyway, the Matariki celebration at the Beckenham Library, supported by Beckenham Primary School kids again, who did Waiata. And that was 3 hours by the River Network, the wonderful Opawaho Heskett River Network, a very successful, smart, onto it organisation who put on a Matariki celebration last Friday night for 3 hours, started off by Waiata from the Beckenham School and the Christchurch City Council Waiata group, who sang beautifully. And the transport impact of the new subdivisions is a big thing of discussion for our board. We spend a lot of time talking about it. It's almost probably 50% of every meeting is the traffic effect of the new subdivisions in Horswell and beyond and around. And with more to come, especially off Sparks Road with Meadowlands, it's going to be huge, and the impact in our area is the downflow of impact in our area is substantial. And we were very pleased in the long-term plan that 2 of our major projects that were going to be postponed for several years were brought forward. The Selwyn Street deserves some attention. They've been left to rot since the earthquake, and 10 years is too long. So we're really pleased that the master plan has been brought forward to 2023. And the new cycleway from Westmoreland to get our kids safely to school is considered by the locals to be extremely important. We have been told by the Ministry of Ed that they're not going to put in any more secondary schools in our area, and our 2 schools are at capacity, so how it's going to work we don't know, but certainly the kids have to get to school, and we're hoping they'll do it by cycleway. So thank you for that. And that's it.
Do I have questions?
Oh, we had a presentation from St John. It was the same presentation that came to this area. We were shocked by the fact that they only had 11 ambulances. We were really glad to get the recommendation from Councillor Mel to have them to speak to us, because they had quite an impact on us. And we're handing out these. Joe will hand hers sideways. Our board has just produced a little Waiata booklet It's very hard for community boards, if you can it's very hard for community boards to do anything to comply with the Treaty of Waitangi. It's hard to be able to liaise, and legitimately hard. Ngāi Tahu hasn't got the people and resources to constantly liaise with us, but we have produced a little cheated booklet that people can put in their wallets, and with waiata and karakia and so on. And we're hoping that this will be able to facilitate some greater understanding in our community at least. And we hope that when we have extra printing done, that there's no telling off from the staff.
That's fantastic. Thank you. We had a meeting of the Te Honona committee last night, and so I wished I'd known yesterday. I could have let them know. So thank you very much for that.
And it's under constant amendment, and we have had an indication from Ngāi Tahu who have approved this booklet, but we've had an indication that they'd like some changes, but having it reprinted and a few changes is easy.
Yeah,
we're very glad to have their support.
Thank you. Aaron?
First of all, huge compliment on that. I think it's fantastic. And the little explanation at the front of which the karakia, mihi, waiata are, I think is a great concept as well. Just
pinched off Duncan Webb, I have to say. Yeah.
Oh, nothing wrong with stealing. Just the bin up there, is that one of the ones that's staying or going?
That is obviously, I think, going because it hasn't been emptied, but the people are continuing to use it. It's on a tiny reserve that leads to Ngā Punawai.
Right. Okay. And have you had many complaints about the bins being taken out?
I've had a lot of complaints about the lack of bins, the fact that they didn't know they were being moved, and the lack of notice about what they meant to do.
Right. So you've been a board member for a long time. Do you think we should have consulted publicly on those first?
This is so good. This is like questions in the house, isn't it? I think I do wish we'd consulted. I do wish we'd informed the community. I do wish we'd started a campaign associating picking up your dog poo with saving the water.
Right.
Because that's the contamination that's going to occur if we have dog poo lying around. I wish we had set up a goodwill campaign so that people weren't surprised and shocked by the disappearance of familiar bins and the appearance of the big bins, which I support.
That makes sense.
But sometimes in the wrong places.
Thank you.
I think that you've raised a good issue for us, and we'll take that on board, because I think the concept is the right one, and so now it's the dog. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say the
excrement.
Doggy do. Can I say that component? You know, both encouraging people to take plastic bags with them, and also to take things away with them as well when done. And lining that up with what's appropriate. So, but people can, approach the council. So community residents groups, community boards have specifically approached council staff over issues. So that the issue is open. The idea was to get people to kind of respond and then work out what was required. So. It's always difficult when you're confronted with partly a change of behaviour attitude. I think what surprised me was to find that 60% of our parks don't have rubbish bins already. That already there were 60% that don't. So looking at how we get those really high volume ones onto the big belly bins was core critical. The
problem is, as I've mentioned, and I won't carry it on, Leanne, because I do understand we're short of time, but the problem is, of course, is that we don't know how much dog poo is staying in those reserves, and B, the Rapaki track residents have always told us that people carry a plastic bag with them and ostentatiously carry it out of the park and then dump it outside their doorstep.
Yeah, I mean, and look, there is going to be a requirement for people to take some, definite personal responsibility for behaviour.
And if we can associate that with saving our water.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, thank you very much for your presentation. And the next one is Te Pātaka o Rakai Hotu, Banks Peninsula, Tory Peden, and I don't know if we've got, no we haven't. Thank you, Tory.
Good morning. Taran is an apology this morning. That's a lovely bunch of people up there. A lot of good things that have come out of our board over the last couple of months. So plenty of decisions last month with high community interest and board focus on Papakāinga zone plan change, the Freedom Camping bylaw review, terms of reference for the community reference group to support the Akara wastewater project. Also, we've had the speed limit review that has been well received with altering speeds to align better with the rural roads. Decisions made under delegations. The board has granted over 28,000 from our discretionary response fund over the last month, and have more applications waiting for the 21-22 funding round. We have 31 separate communities on the peninsula who are all motivated to undertake projects for improvement, and we're really grateful to have this funding available to them. We did extend the age range for our youth development fund. It was 12 to 20. It's now been extended from age 10 to 20, and we hope that this will encourage more applications from our younger people. Big thanks and shout out go to our parks teams. We're very happy to see the huge improvements in appearance and maintenance of our parks and reserves on Banks Peninsula since having our wonderful dedicated team. And it's great to see that Kerry is back on board. The Takapaniki Reserve Landscape Master Plan is out for consultation and closing 21st of July. The reserve was a site of a massacre in 1830, and it's a fairly significant site, and became tapu, but was misused over these ensuing years. It is great to see the importance of this reserve recognised and acted on in the development of 3 distinct parks, one for healing, one for reflection, and one for silence. In June 2017, Te Mata Hapuku, Birdlings Flat Community Centre was officially opened, a result of partnership between Council and the Little River Wairuba Community Trust. The centre has been managed by the Trust. Sorry, get that right. The centre has been managed by the Committee of Birdlings Flat Residents, which became an incorporated society in 2021. The usage of the centre has steadily increased. In June this year, the board officially approved the reassignment of the lease for the centre from Little River Wairuba Community Trust to the Committee Te Whare Tapari o Te Mata Hapuku Society Incorporated. So that's the Birdlings Flat community have actually taken on the whole. And the last one is a lot of thanks do go to Council. The board would like to recognise and thank Council for retaining the provisions of customer service in Littleton and Akaroa communities in light of their remote geographical location and their wish to have face-to-face interaction with the Council. We invite you to watch this space as we work with the local community in developing the concept of community hubs in these buildings. And also thanks for providing funding in this year for the Little River Playground project and the Littleton toilets going ahead. The board recognises all the hard work that has gone into these projects to date and the importance of partnerships between community and council. And just on a last note, we do also recognise the flooding events recently, and I know our governance team are working quite closely with Community Trust to have a hui in the next month or two, just regarding flooding events that have happened and in Little River and how we move forward with those. I'll have even more updates when we get ready for the hui.
Very good. Any questions? Yanni?
The Takapaniki plan, did that go to your board for approval before it went out? Because I mean, it's such a significant site, and I guess I was sort of expecting maybe something would come to council before it went out, but we didn't see anything.
It has come to the community board several times. From what I understand, that we did see the concepts before it did go out to consultation. So that short answer is yes.
Because I've been on 2 hearing panels attached to it, and I don't know how others feel, but it does seem very disjointed process where it's not clear who's actually making decisions because of all the different streams of work. So will that report go back to your community board for final approval?
What I understand.
I'm not sure of who makes delegation.
I mean, given this has got actually national significance, it does seem a bit weird it wouldn't come in front of council. But I mean, I'm really happy that work's happening on it. It's been a long-standing issue. Can we get some advice from staff over the process
yeah, no,
that runs?
Fine. That's fine. We'll just make a note.
Yeah, and this was raised previously when we did get.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Yanni.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. The next is Waitai Coastal Burwood Community Board, Kelly Barber.
Good morning, everybody. I'm joined again by Governance Extraordinaire Operative Chris Turner. Thank you, Chris. So we've had a busy period over the last month or so. I'll just take it as read. Decisions made under delegation. I just want to draw your attention to a couple of them. The first one, the Travis Road Cycleway. This is a situation where there's been a lot of back and forth between the council staff, the board, and some of the local businesses and residents over some cycleways that are going to be put in effectively Travis Road. It's a really good example of the back and forth that's required to get the right solution to please as many people as possible. It's been really good. And I just want to thank the staff who've been incredibly patient with the board and some of the businesses in coming to a solution that's going to work for everybody. The other one I'd like to point out is just that we approved the development of an artificial softball pitch. This is in Rafidi Domain, and that's part of the shovel-ready projects that have been going on in our area for some time, and it's really good to see these things happening. We've had a lot of positive comments about it. So moving on to the next thing is so we've had an initiative from a couple of locals, Sue McKenna and Jack Radford, presented to the board recently about their desire to put in a po whenua, which, for those of you that don't know, is a carved wooden post to either mark territorial boundaries or places of significance. There's a great example on the west side of this building. So they've received a lot of support from City Council and from Avon Heathcote Estuary Te Ihutai Trust and Tangata Whenua, and the board's also expressed our support for the project. And it's really always good to see these sorts of projects being driven by members of the local community and not necessarily always council. This is another interesting initiative, a safe house initiative being led by a chap called Grant Donnell, who's very active in his Parklands community. I think there was a couple of incidents where some children had felt bullied and had sort of nowhere to go, and he's been looked at a solution for this, which he wanted to put stickers on letterboxes of safe houses. And it's a concept that is as old as the Good Samaritan story from the Bible. I mean, sometimes people need help, and finding a safe refuge is always good. So they're going through the process of understanding how that's going to work and who would qualify to be a safe house and how they would be vetted, etc. But I think it's a really good example of a local seeing something that needs to be done and then pursuing that to its end. So just a note of thanks here. The New Brighton Library, the lights were sort of, the letters were falling apart, and anyway, they've been restored, replaced with LEDs, which are a bit more reliable. Of course, this weekend we'll be having some lights of a different kind with the Matariki Festival in New Brighton, which will be absolutely spectacular, and I'd like to invite you all down there to see it because I think it'll be absolutely fantastic. So moving right along. Community Service Awards. We sort of decided to shake things up a wee bit this year and take our board to the people who had actually qualified for awards and present them their certificates in their place of significance. Some chose to come to the board, and that was great. And it's humbling to see how many people put in so much time in their communities and dedicate themselves to some aspect of life in the community. We don't really have much more, but I do want to finish with a little video, which hopefully will work. So this was a short thing done by Good Morning Australia, who are very popular breakfast sort of TV in Australia, and they came to Christchurch and did a little highlight, but they just did an absolutely fantastic job of highlighting New Brighton, and so I'd love to play this for you.
Well, let me take you on a little journey to the New Brighton region of Christchurch, just 15 minutes away from here in the CBD. It is a perfect little seaside suburb. Take a look at these pictures. That is the longest pier in Australasia. So I enjoyed a nice walk along that yesterday afternoon. The views across the mountains is just spectacular. Christchurch is that place where you can literally ski on the mountains and surf in the one day. Once you're finished on that wonderful pier, then of course watch that surf break. It is awesome. And then it is all about the Hipuna Taimoana hot pools, the hot pools by the sea. Isn't this awesome? This is a public space. It is a wonderful area to come and relax and completely unwind. A lot of the sporting teams use these pools as well to wind down and recover from all of their matches. I know the Crusaders have been spotted in there a couple of times. Yesterday, though, they capped the number of people that can come in, so it doesn't feel like there's too many people around you, but you just get to soak in those beautiful hot pools. And of course, look out across that surf break right in front of you. It has been voted the #1 hot pools here in New Zealand. If you're going to do it, that is the place to do it. And like I said, just 15 minutes from here in the CBD. Guys, yesterday I had the chance to catch up with the one and only Rick.
Him for that, so yeah, we're getting good value there. So this weekend there will be the Matariki Festival, and I was talking to Merrin and at the pools about what they've planned for the weekend. She said that they're running a session from 5 till 8, which is oversubscribed. They're going to showing great initiative here. They're actually going to heat up some of the other pools that are a bit cooler, back up to like 38 degrees, and try and have as many people as they can in to see the fireworks from the pools. She told me some other fascinating statistics. They've got 1,400 members who are members of the pool. She said they were expecting like 5 or so a month. Last month they did 111. This month they've done 103. So the pools continue to be a great success, and I think with this sort of thing going out when the doors to our country open a little more freely, we'll see a lot more tourists there. We probably should have made them a bit bigger. Anyway, the last thing I'd like to finish with is just to thank and recognise James for his service to our board and to our area. I think you've carried yourself with great dignity, and you've been a great advocate for the board, and I'd just like to thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
We are going to honour James at the end of the meeting and reflect, as you have, you know, the extraordinary service that he's given over a relatively short space of time, but still valuable service to our community. Does anyone have any questions for Kelly? James? No, we're not moving. We've already moved. Yes, okay. No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Right, the next is Waimairo, Fendleton, Waimairi, Harewood. And we have Deputy Chair David Cartwright today, and an apology from Bridget Williams.
Thank you very much. Yes, apology from Bridget, who's in Napier today. I'll take the report as read. Well, the delegations, our decisions made under delegation are there for all to read. Moving on, public forums and deputations. It's obviously it's a great part of or a great duty of the community boards to be able to listen to the concerns of the public. I know that Caroline Potter is a great advocate in the inclusion of this within the agenda, or all agendas, and you can sort of see there the cross section of people that we have that come into our ward, which I consider it an honour to listen to that. Community projects. The Elmwood Bowling Club, this in compliments actually go to Katie McRae here for helping lead and consult with a number of our residents. She did a fantastic job in that regard. We always knew that this was going to be a bit of a contentious issue. What's happened here, for those that might not know, resource consent was given to build the project before it was actually made public to a number of the neighbours. The neighbours then hold the council at fault, where the fault doesn't lie at our door, which results in a number of heated phone calls and emails towards the team, which unfortunately is misdirected. We do believe that the bowling club intend to be a good tenant and a good neighbour, and some of the more historical issues that have been created around in that area will be resolved. And the bowling club, compliments must go to them for the considerable amount of work, effort and expense that they have gone into to mitigate noise and the potential for noise from the new building. Just a quick thank you also to the council from our board for the two projects, being the Island Stream and the shared path on Gardeners Road. You'll know that we obviously sat here in times gone past advocating for these issues, and thank you very much for giving the approval there. I'll actually hand over to Marianne around the Avonhead and Russley Safety Initiative. We've also got a handout for you if it hasn't been handed out already. This is a project which Marianne would like to update you on.
Yep, so I know Bridget has talked about it before, but this project came about when the board were doing their community engagement to develop their community board plan priorities. There was feedback from the Avonhead Russley community that they felt there'd been an increase in the number of house burglaries and car break-ins and just a general feeling of a lack of safety. So the staff pulled together a kind of steering project group made up of board members and Neighbourhood Support New Zealand Police, Christchurch North Community Patrols, and our local MP's office, Sarah Pallett. They've been meeting regularly to share information and data. The police are saying a lot of it might be a perceived increase because of social media. People are seeing things people are reporting on social media rather than reporting with the police. So they've been looking at what they could do as a collaborative group. So this fold-out booklet that you've all been given a copy of, that is being delivered to just under 5,000 homes in the Avonhead Russley area. Inside of it, there'll also be a one-page community survey on safety, just to get residents' feedback. They can either do that online, there'll be a prepaid envelope if people want to send it back via mail, or there'll be spots around the Avonhead Russley area for people to drop them off at schools and churches. And just yesterday, the Avonhead Mall came on board and said that there'll be a spot for people to drop them off at as well. So once those surveys come back in, they'll be analysed, and then with Neighbourhood Support, we're going to be holding some community meetings and give residents an opportunity to come along and share their kind of experiences and develop some initiatives together that we can work on. And then we're going to move into the Bishopdale area and then the Strowan area, because residents from those areas have both expressed concerns as well. So this is a pilot, really.
Thank you, Marianne. Happy to answer any questions.
Oh, the Chief Executive has indicated that she'd like to ask you a question. Are you up for it?
Ask me in a minute.
I'm sure you are. It's in relation to the issue of the gap between actual crime and perception and fear of crime. And I think it's an excellent initiative, but it's really important that we distinguish those two things.
Yes.
And I say that having just had a meeting recently, thinking across the city and specifically looking at what the evidence is telling us.
Yes.
Because we know in particular perception is considerably higher and crime levels in Christchurch are relatively low. So it's important in your work that that message gets across.
Yeah, point noted, and it is our objective.
Sam.
Just a quick one. I just wonder, for the benefit of the council, could you just touch on the Island Stream and the shared footpath in terms of the next steps? Because they're obviously local board projects that we want to get delivered within 12 months. So.
Okay, so my understanding of the Gardeners Road, and Marianne will correct me if I'm wrong, is the section of road that currently has no footpath along it, and that we have been able to move some internal funding from one of the...
sorry, I mean, like, it's probably more a question for Marianne in terms of...
We're getting staff to come and brief the board on next steps and where to from here.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, it would be really useful when we get the board reports, if you can just keep this at top of mind, because they're two tangible outcomes for the community I think the council would be interested in.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Melanie.
And with the Elmwood Park Bowling Club, what were the residents' concerns? Because it's a single-storey building. I'm just interested to see what they were.
So historically, there had been a double-storied building with a number of late night activities resulting in noise complaints and maybe some litter in the mornings. So it was, in essence, those. What some of the designs are now is they've moved the collection of skips and rubbish bins inside. So the emptying, you know, when you empty put a bottle in the recycling bin, the clanging noise. So that's now going to be housed internally. So some of those emptying of rubbish bins at night time internally won't be such an issue. Car parking was also an issue, but yeah, people coming and going.
Okay. Very good. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you for raising that, Sam, about keeping an eye on it, because they are two important projects. My colleague next to me, Jake, has agreed to come to the opening of the shared path and have a bike race. So we can keep that on our list of things to watch over the next year as Jake starts training.
Right. Look, thank you very much for your presentation today. Thank you. The next is Waipuna, Hallsville, Hornby, Riccarton. Chair Mike Mora.
Kia ora, Leanne and councillors. Thanks for the opportunity to present today. We'll just take you through the report. Do you want to start? Introduce Emma, and our interim community governance manager. Thanks very much for accompanying me today. And we also have an apology from Helen Broughton, who's dealing with earthquake-related matters. Right, so a lot of the stuff is you'll see there. But do you want to take us through the
well, we've got two part A's.
Oh, we've got two part A's, but we'll be talking about that, the part A's, when those part A's come up. Is that okay with you?
No, you speak to them now.
The part A's?
Yes, thank you.
Well, the proposed speed limit review, of course, has got the support of the board, and we did ask for another a bit of an extension into Owaka Road as well. So that's pretty straightforward. And the sale of 66 Quaifs Road, of course, has drawn a lot of passion and a lot of enthusiasm from our community and our community board for quite some time, as you're well aware of. So what we're really pleading with today is to gaze into the crystal ball like we have been doing, and just see, well, we can hang on to this. We're not really going to be out of pocket a lot, so we hang on to this piece of land, and everybody will be happy. So that's the plea that we're bringing to you today. Please consider retaining a third of that land for the future in that area. So the next is at Waikola Park. There's some work going on with Waikola Park, and we're consulting with the community on Waikola Park, and we've had a couple of workshops with young people. So that's something that the staff are really handling well, and taking the community on board with them. And the Hallsville Community Market is going well, and has been for a while. We've got the Justice of the Peace is now at our Rakau Rickerton Centre, and give gear, get gear at Hallsville Community Market is a real sensible thing to be doing. And we've also got a library fridge as well, haven't we? That's something that I think other board areas in Christchurch could look at, is having a library fridge to put people can go and put their books in and take books out and keep the system going. So then we have other activities in the area. Yeah. So that's parking on Brigham Drive. I was just talking to Barry. It says here that staff have advised that the issue has been addressed by the installation of new parking ticks. Well, I spoke to residents in Brigham Drive last night, and there is no parking ticks in place. So I've just brought that up with Barry today. So he's gonna chase that up. O'Capton Reserve, Royden Quarry appeal. Just a little bit disappointed there that we haven't had more input in supporting the Templeton Residents Association in their appeal on that, because we did make a lot of promises at the time that we would, because our community board was the council in it. But anyway, we're just still waiting and seeing where that appeal's going. So, and the development's underway, of course, in Kyle Park. So that's really exciting for our area. And then we go to the yes. Where's the? Sorry.
Which one are you looking for, Mark?
Where's the? In our report, the Alders.
It's on the, further up on the first area report going through. Keep going.
Right. Yes. Now we go to the Alders Village Earthworks. This has been an ongoing issue for quite a number of years, and it still hasn't been resolved. And I appreciate the report from the staff, but it's not actually solving the issue at all. In the report it says, well, originally, the outlet from that first part of the subdivision drained by an open drain into the water race, Paparoa Stream water race. The development took place and shifted the water race. So since the water race was shifted, it had nowhere to drain into, so it's just been sort of draining through the open thing. But now it's being filled in and stopped, and this report says that the people that are living in Lot 9 and beyond, and the original landowners in there, their stormwater from their roof has to go to ground. Well, that's over an unconfined ground aquifer, and I don't know where else in Christchurch you'd be allowing or recommending, staff would be recommending that in a new development you take your stormwater off your roofs and put it to ground. So that seems a bit bizarre, and it also so that the only stormwater in that area that will be from the roadsides that go into the stormwater basins, but the stormwater from the land is draining north to south. So the stormwater from the roof might go to ground, but the runoff on the land is going to go into the rear property. So I don't see how that sort of planning can possibly make sense in this day and age. and to allow that sort of thing to be going on and refusing to talk to the affected parties and to our community board, which we've resolved over and over again, to try and get people to sit down around a round table and discuss this matter is very, very frustrating. It's ruining the lives of these people. They've been suffering from this for well over 10 years. It's destroyed marriages. It's destroyed their lives. So please, 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 can we get some resolution on this? I'm pleading with you. Please, can we get a result? Dawn, I did give you the magic wand, but
Can you please direct your comments through the chair?
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I'm pleading with everybody around this table to try and get staff to agree to meet with the affected parties and to resolve this issue, because it's getting worse day by day. Every day.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to hold you up here because this is not an item that is your presentation endorsed by your community board. So I just would like you to come back to the issues that your community board asked you to present to the council.
Okay, so that's what we've asked yes, that's what we asked for, that information. We did get a response, but I'm just challenging, well, I'm not challenging, I'm asking people to put their thinking caps on and think where else. And
move on to the other items that you have on your presentation, please.
They're finished on the presentation that you have there.
We've done it all, sorry.
Right, are there any questions for Mike? Aaron and Jimmy.
Well, my question's actually to you, Madam Chair. On behalf of Mike, I do support us getting to a resolution around what's happened at Alders. It is, I can see you cringing, but it is unacceptable.
Excuse me, no, I'm not, this is not for this matter. So I would just ask councillors to stick to the items that the community board asked to be brought to the council.
But the community board chair has just raised it.
Offline, please.
I actually won't take it offline.
I'm not prepared to have this debate without a report from council staff in front of the council. We've heard a plea from the community board chair in his personal capacity rather than actually speaking on behalf of the community board. So the community board, this presentation is to do with the items that were agreed by the community board would be brought to the council. So we'll just leave it at that. I want to take the heat out of what has been a long-standing issue and just pull it off this agenda. It is not on this agenda.
But
I'm sorry, but I'm going to, well, we've come to the end of the 10-minute presentation.
So can I
I'll
actually ask for some legal advice on whether I'm allowed to ask the question on what he has raised? Because we received an email this morning from an affected party who was not allowed to speak at this council.
I have not got any email from anyone in front of me. So we've had a presentation from a community board chair, and I'm just asking people to take the heat out of the situation. We will look at it in a different context, in a different environment, but I will have proper advice in front of me before I do so. So
okay, well, can Mike and I meet with you in the morning tea break?
I'm bringing this to an end. The 10 minutes is concluded, and I'd like to thank you very much for making your presentation on behalf of the community board, and I'm going to move on to the next community board chair. Thank you. And the next community board chair is Waikola Linwood Central Heathcote, and the chair is Alexandra Davids. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you so much for having us here this morning. So I will speak to our presentation, and there's obviously been a lot going on over the last 2 months, so I will get as much in as possible. So the board have been working on a sustainability charter. We have analysed what work is already happening in the community, and how we are working sustainably as a board and as a council. We have acknowledged how we can and will work to be more sustainable for future generations. We are looking at a launch date in early August, so we'll have more info coming for you all soon. The board have funded the Kaumatua Hui. This started after the earthquakes for older people in the east. We recognise there can be a lack of connection for many older people in our communities, and this event actually caters for over 200 people monthly. Our staff are working with Te Puna Oranga to deliver the hui. We have had public forums and deputations, obviously, but we just wanted to bring up the deputation from Kirsty Burgess, a local resident who addressed the board on the Kiwi Rail Bridge replacement landscaping and the Richardson Terrace footpath under the Kiwi Rail Bridge. This was causing a bit of strife for children and pedestrians, children going to school. So we were hoping to get some work happening on that. Now, the Kiwi Rail will be finished at the end of the month, which is fantastic, and the footpath is underway. We just want to say thank you to staff in the transport unit for making the work on the path happen in conjunction with Kiwi Rail. So great outcome there. We have now had our workshop around the Strengthening Communities funding round, and we would like to thank everyone that has taken the time to go through the process for funding. We recognise that it is really hard for community groups getting funding nowadays, with so many amazing groups working to make our communities better places. It has definitely made making our recommendations tough, but it has been amazing seeing the valuable mahi that you are all bringing to our board area. So thank you again to those groups. As Tori brought up earlier, the flooding situation, we just really wanted to say a massive thank you to staff around the work that was done over that time. It was a stressful time for a lot of people, not knowing how we would actually be affected by the floods, but we actually got off reasonably unscathed within our area, which has not been the case in the past. So acknowledging the flood mitigations that have happened prior to this event, we just want to say a massive thank you. A Bromley traffic update. So the board and staff held a community meeting on the 24th of May to enable locals to share their concerns with staff and the board around the many traffic concerns in the area. We just wanted to say a thank you to everyone that took time out of their day to attend. Staff are now working on putting together an implementation plan using current budgets. This will enable the community and board to advocate for capital budget in the upcoming annual plans and the next long-term plan. On to cemeteries. So the board held an open briefing with community members and park staff, and we came to some immediate issues, and some of those were resolved. The board will now advocate for the renewal of the cemeteries bylaw and guidelines as they are set for the year 2028 currently, and we feel that they are overdue for an update already. Want to say thanks so much to everyone that have been involved in this. We obviously had a few issues around it, but thank you to everybody for your involvement with it, and we look forward to moving forward with those. The Edwin Mouldy track, we're currently not able to use the track due to rockfall risk, and the board will advocate to the council in the next annual plan for a modified route, as this is a valuable community facility, and when rocks aren't falling on you, it is a safer and more sustainable means of active transport to the village. Most importantly, however, it is a potential tsunami escape route, so we think that it is important for some work to be done on this. We have obviously had a lot of events in the area, and with Matariki happening at this time, we have had the Bromwood Matariki, we've had Matariki Blast, we've had events in Mount Pleasant. We've also had our life events that we've updated you on leading up to this board report. So we held the events in conjunction with YCD, Youth Council and Voice, and we reached over 500 youth in our area with those events. We'd also like to say thank you to the other organisations that helped make them possible, including My FM and the Club Kings. Upcoming events in our area, we've got heaps and heaps, so unfortunately won't be able to tell you about all of them, but we've got Matariki at the Phillipstown Hub this Saturday. We've got the second of the East Side Neighbourhood Walks that is going to be held in the Inner City East on Sunday the 11th of July, so this Sunday from 10 till 12. We have Matariki in the Zone, that is in conjunction with Richmond Community Gardens, Avon Atakoro Network, Avery House, and Avery House. That is on the 17th of July from 2:30 till 7:30. And then we also have in the Central City, the Matariki Night Market at the Arts Centre. That is on Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. And to finish off, we would just like to say we have now got a date for the opening of our pool, and that will be on the 1st of October. So we are excited about that. That is all.
Thank you. Melanie. In one of the reports it mentions about the Edmonds Band Rotunda, which a lot of people have been commenting about how good it looks. Do you have a rough idea of when it might be opening?
We are working with community on that, but do we have a rough time frame yet?
Not at this stage, no. It's been coordinated with the Parks Unit, so can't give you a date at this stage.
Can't
But
wait,
we'll let
though.
you know
It'll be
as
great.
soon as we do.
It's got to be a concert.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's my personal opinion. Anyone else? Oh. Look, thank you very much for your presentation. It's
Thank
much
you.
appreciated.
Thank you for having us. Have a lovely day.
Right, the next one is... Oh, that's it. That's all of them. So it's 5 to 11. I think we'll do the Wigram area proposed speed limit review. Oh, sorry. I'll put the motion for the other one. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Oh, Yanni?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just want to acknowledge the work that's happening within the community board plans. I think the point that Councillor McDonald made was actually really good, is that for a number of these projects, the problem is there's no clear outcome or deadline dates for delivery. So some are progressing, some aren't, some are delayed, some are funded through different processes. I do think it's something we should consider. How do we get ongoing visibility to ensure that these things happen in a timely manner? For example, the Bromley traffic issue was raised in, going back to 2017, and it's still in the sort of planning phase. And there's a whole bunch of issues of having to come back in a year's time for more budget because we weren't able to put amendments to the long-term plan because they were ruled out of order. So I just think we need to think much more clearly about how we can actually enable the community boards to do the good work that they're doing with really clear support and outcomes for the things to actually be achieved, rather than simply having, like in the case of Bromley traffic, coming back every single year, putting requests in for funding or for raising the issue and just not seeing the tangible progress. I also was a little bit concerned about Edmonds Band Rotunda. Like it's basically in April we were told it was a month to 2 months away from opening. I am concerned that it's basically sitting there. My understanding from the Office of the Chief Executive, they did say that within the next few days they'd get an opening date. But I think for councillors who know how busy we are, we need to actually get time in the diary ahead of time. So hopefully we can open that facility and get a date put in place. But I just think it's testament to the work that a lot of our staff have done, and we've heard some praises of our staff. I particularly just wanted to acknowledge around Te Poi Toi Toi, the Linwood Pole. I just wanted to acknowledge the staff and the workers on that project, which is ahead of time and on budget, which is really fantastic. And I know the community are really looking forward to that October 1st opening. So thank you to the staff involved in that.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And even though it's